الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وبيته وأصحابه وأزواجه أجمعين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعني بما علمتني وعلمني ما ينفعني وزدني علما والحمد لله على كل حال. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Life of Ameer al-Momineen Omer al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Episode 6. Conquests of SHAM. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu in 13 Hijriyyah marched at various places of Sham. Appointing Abu Ubaidah at Homs, Yazid bin Abu Sufyan at Damascus, Shuraybil at Jordan, and Umar bin As at Palestine. Whole army of Muslims were 24,000, and they were continuously fighting Romans at different places. But Caesar of Rome gathered an army against Muslim armies that were scattered throughout the country. Looking this, all commanders after counseling decided to gather at one place and fight them together, and with that wrote a letter to Sayyidina Abu Bakr to send aid army. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr commanded Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid to go to them from Iraq. Caesar sent a big army against Muslims, who set up their tents at Aznadain. I have told about this battle in the Sirah of Abu Bakr, so I will leave the link of that video in the description of this video. After victory of Aznadain, Khalid marched toward Damascus and surrounded it. Victory of Damascus. Damascus was the big and capital city of Sham. Khalid distributed the armies and appointed them at the main gates of city, and himself surrounded the gate of north. Looking this tough siege, Romans, their courage was falling down to earth. But they had order from Caesar to fight, and they had hoped that from Hamas an army will come to help them. Because of that, they didn't leave. And in these same days, Sayyidina Abu Bakr died, and Umar ibn Khattab became the caliph. Romans thought that Arabs will not bear the cold weather and will run away because of that, but that didn't happen. On the other side, Khalid gave a squad to Zul-Kilah, one of the commanders of Muslims, to go and stand outside of Damascus, so no help should reach the Romans, who made the army of Caesar run, which was coming from Hamas to help them. Now people of Damascus were losing hopes, but they didn't run away. Coincidentally, what happened in those days is that the ruler of Damascus had son, and in joy of that, whole city drank alcohol, and were dancing and swinging whole night. And because of that, whole city, including soldiers, fall asleep early, fully drunk. Khalid being an extraordinary commander who had a habit to have an eye on the enemies each step, how could possibly he leave this chance? Khalid at once took some of soldiers with him and climbed the wall and jumped out the other side. Then killed the guards and opened the gate of the city. Whole army who were already prepared outside of door entered city in flood. Looking Muslims entering like that, whole city was shocked, and they didn't know what to do. Looking the defeat and death in front of eyes, Romans came to Abu Ubaidah and requested him to make a peace treaty with them and save them from Khalid. Abu Ubaidah and Khalid after counseling decided to do peace treaty, and then the treaty was signed. This blessed victory was a gateway to all victories of Sham, which happened in the month of Rajab 14 Hijri or 635 AD. Victory of Fahal. After defeat in Damascus, Romans were angry, and now they started to join forces from everywhere against Muslims. As after victory of Damascus, Muslims were moving towards Jordan, and Romans also came to the city of that province, Balisan. The aid army that Caesar Hercules saw sending also come and joined them there, and with that, there were 30 or 40,000 army gathered there. Roman army won in Balisan, and Muslim army camped in Fahal. Romans, out of fear of Muslims' attack, they broke all dams of rivers and canals. And because of that, whole area between Fahal and Balisan were underwater, and there was flood everywhere, which stopped every route. But which route can stop the flood of Islam? Seeing Muslims' strength and enthusiasm, Christians sent a messenger to Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah to talk about peace talks to send someone. Muaz ibn Jabal was sent as invite to talk. Romans said to him, Iran is near to you. There is kingship of a woman there. You should go there. Our numbers are like stars, and our king is the biggest of all. Muaz ibn Jabal seeing right in their eyes and replied them, the first offer we have is that you should all become Muslims. Pray towards our Qibla. Don't drink alcohol and don't eat the pork. If you do as I said, then you all are our brothers. But if you don't accept, then accept to give jizya tax. And if you also deny that, then they are only swords in front of you. If your numbers are like stars, then we don't even care about that. Because our Lord has said, Kam min fiyatin kalilatin ghalabat fiyatin kasiratin biiznillah. How many a small company has overcome a large company by permission of Allah? Roman said that, okay, we will give you some part of Balqa and that part of Jordan which is with your side. Then leave this and go to Persia. Muaz didn't agree and came back. After that, Roman sent their envoy directly to Abu Ubaidah to talk, who said, we will give your soldier 2 gold coins. Go from here. Abu Ubaidah denied that and envoy left. Abu Ubaidah told these all talks to Umar ibn Khattab, who said, steadfast, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be your help. Looking envoy of Romans going back with anger, Abu Ubaidah commanded his army to be prepared for war. But Romans didn't come to the battleground. Second day, Khalid with one group of cavalry came in the battleground. Romans also divided their army into 3 parts, and one by one came into the battleground. Khalid commanded Qais bin Hira and Sabra bin Masruq to attack, and with that battleground was filled with blood. Romans gathered all their 3 parts of army together and attacked, and with that war gained momentum. Looking at Muslim steadfastness and bravery, Romans feared and deliberately were trying to delay the war, so that 8 armies can come to help them. But Khalid understood their tactic and told Abu Ubaidah that Romans are now scared of Muslims. It is the best time to attack them at once. And Abu Ubaidah ordered army to prepare at night, and at morning was ready to fight Romans. Romans were almost 50,000 in numbers, and they have divided their army into 5 rows, means each row had 10,000 soldiers. War started. As Khalid was commander of cavalry, he came out of Muslim army's rows with his group and started to fight Romans. One group of Roman soldiers started attacking Khalid and his companions. Khalid, as being expert of war, slowly was backing off and defending himself and his group, while Romans thinking that he might be running away. But as they became away from their remaining army, Khalid suddenly attacked them, and they had no time left to even save their heads. After that, whole Roman army was scattered, and with that Muslims won this battle. Abu Ubaidah sent letter to Umar ibn Khattab and gave him good news of victory. After this victory, all cities of Jordan and places were easily conquered, and everywhere it was written that all conquered places, all conquered people, their wealth, lands, houses, worship places will be at protection and at peace, except for building mosques. Lands will be purchased. This war of Fail happened in Zulqa'dah 14th Hijri or 635 AD. Victory of Hamas. After victory of Damascus and Jordan, there were only 3 big cities left to conquer, and after that Sham will be conquered: Baitul Maqdis, Hamas, and Antakya, where Hercules was living himself. Homs, compared to other 2, was near and had little supplies than other 2, and that's why a Muslim army directed towards that. On the way, Muslim army moved forward, conquering a city, Balbak, after a small while. Near Hamas, Romans wanted to come forward and attack, so they come to a place near Hamas where they encountered Khalid who attacked them in a way that their whole army was nowhere to found, and they ran like there was no turning back. Khalid gave a little army to Sabra bin Masruq and sent him to Hamas. After Sabra, Khalid and Abu Ubaidah also went to Hamas and besieged the city. It was bitter cold weather, and Romans knew that Muslims could not bear that weather and will go back, and with that Hercules also sent letter to them stating that, don't worry, help is on its way, and a big army started their way towards Hamas. But Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, who had come to march on Iraq, heard about this and sent an army which stopped this 8 army of Hercules on its way. Finally, people of Hamas got disappointed and requested Abu Ubaidah, and they accepted the terms and conditions and accepted to give jizya tax. After that, Abu Ubaidah went to Shars and Maratun Namun, whose people accepted the obedience of Abu Ubaidah. After victory of Hamas, Abu Ubaidah decided to march on capital city of Hercules and even sent few squads, but Caliph Umar commanded to not go further. Khalid ibn Walid with 1,000 army stayed at Damascus, Omer RA stayed at Jordan, and Abu Ubaidah himself stayed at Hamas. Victory of Hamas happened in 14th Hijri year or 635 AD. Yarmouk. Romans that reigned in defeat of Damascus and Hamas reached Antakya and complained Hercules that Arabs had destroyed whole Sham. Listening this, Hercules called all his wise men and said to them that Arabs are lesser in numbers, in weapons, in supplies, and almost in everything. Then why you are continuously failed in countering them? Listening this, all were standing with silence, with heads down. Then one old man stood up and said, Arabs' morals are greater than ours. They pray at night and fast in day. They don't oppress anyone. They behave like brothers to each other. And our situation is that we drink alcohol. We do adultery. We don't complete our promises. We oppress others. And that's the reason that every action of Arabs had strength, power, and enthusiasm. And our every action is empty from masculinity and bravery. These lines of old men waked Hercules, and he at once sent messengers to Rome, Constantinople, Armenia, Jazeera, and other cities that at once gathered all armies, and on a particular date reached the city of Antakya. After his command, whole Antakya had flood of armies. Places that Abu Ubaidah conquered, people of that became impressed with the morals of Abu Ubaidah, and by themselves sent spies to different places, who told them all preparation of Hercules. Abu Ubaidah gathered all officers and addressed them, O Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested you and you passed his test. And because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you victories. Now enemies have come out with that army, weapons and supplies that even earth has been shaken. Now what's your opinion? Yazid bin Abi Sufyan said there, I think we should leave women and children in the city and go out and fight with them. With that also call armies from Khalid and Umar ibn As radhiyallahu anhu. There Shurahbil bin Hasna said that indeed Yazid would have given his opinion honestly, but I don't agree with that. There are only Christians in cities, and it's quite possible that they might kill our women and children or hand them over to Hercules. Abu Ubaidah said that to prevent this happening, there is only one solution, that we should drive all Christians out of the city. Shurahbil said, O Ameer, you don't have right to do that. We have given these Christians peace on a condition that they can live in city peacefully. So for that we cannot break the treaty. Abu Ubaidah realized his mistake, but after a long debate, there was not a perfect decision. Then finally a decision was taken that we should leave Hamas and go to Damascus. There is Khalid there, and the border of Arab is near to that. After decision, Abu Ubaidah called his treasurer Habib bin Muslim and commanded him that right now situation is that we cannot take the responsibility of the protection of these Christians. For that, whatever amount of jizya we have taken from them, return them and tell them that we have relations with you as we had before. But right now, we cannot take the responsibility of protection of yours. For that, we have returned your amounts of jizya that you had given us. And as this hundreds of thousands amount was returned, this thing affected Christians a lot. Then they said, may God make you come again to us. Abu Ubaidah was counseling with commanders in Damascus, and there he received a letter from Umar ibn As, which said that places around Jordan has rebelled, and news of coming of Romans armies had created a disastrous environment. Abu Ubaidah wrote him that, we didn't leave Hamas out of fear. Stay there. Don't leave. I am coming to you. Second day, Abu Ubaidah left Damascus and reached at borders of Jordan, Yarmouk, where Umar ibn As met. This place was suitable for Muslims, as it was near to Arab borders, and behind that was a big ground. Meanwhile, Umar ibn al-Khattab has already sent an aid army to Muslims, but that didn't reach yet. And looking at enormous armies and preparation of Romans, Muslims' hearts were at their throats. Abu Ubaidah wrote this whole scene of war to Umar ibn Khattab. Caliph asked the messenger that, where did enemies had reached? He replied, about 3 or 4 miles away from Yarmouk. On this Umar said, now what can we do? In this short time, how can aid reach there? After that, he gave a letter to messenger and said to him that, go and read this in every row of army, that, listen well, Umar has given you salam, and ordered you that, O people of Islam, be firm in war, and attack Muslims like lion of forest, and consider them as the light as feathers of bird. We know that you Muslims will have help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against them. It was a coincidence that when messenger reached there, on the same day, the aid army under Sa'id bin Ameer reached there with 1,000 mujahideen, which triggered the Muslims' iman, and they now started preparing for war. Roman armies came in front of Dairul Jabal. Khalid was fully prepared. Muaz ibn Jabal was appointed as the right-wing commander. Qabas bin Shaim was appointed as the left-wing commander. and Hashim bin Utma was appointed as commander of infantry. Khalid divided his squad in 4 parts. One he took with himself, and the other 3 he gave to Qais bin Hira, Maysara bin Masruq, and Umar bin Tufail. These 3 were famous warriors of Arabs. Romans also came with arrogance and battleground, divided their 2 lakh army into 14 rows, and in front of rows their priests were walking with cross in their hands, encouraging them. Armies were in front of each other, and then one healthy man came out of Roman rows and challenged Muslims that I want to fight alone. Maysara bin Masruq wanted to go, but Khalid stopped him and sent Qais bin Hira, who didn't give a chance to blink to that Roman soldier and killed him. Khalid said, it was a good start. Allah wills we will have victory. Whole day, fight continued, and after sunset, war stopped. At night, Bahan, one of the main commanders, counseled his chiefs that Arabs now have desire of wealth and money, so it will be beneficiary for us to give them some money and make them go backwards. Next day, at first their messenger came to Abu Ubaidah and said to him, they send us your envoy to talk about peace. Khalid was sent to Romans. Bahan first gave a lot of respect to Khalid. They started his speech by praising Isa and Hercules, and they said, our king is king of all the kings, means emperor. Khalid cut him and said, your king might be like that, but our leader is like that if he thinks for himself as a king for just a moment. We will depose him at once. Bahan said, Arab, your people came and settled in our places. We always treated them as friends. We thought that for our generosity, all Arab would be grateful. But on contrary, you have marched on us and want to kick us out of our own country. Did you not know that a lot of armies tried that, but none of them became successful? Now you, from whom there is not any other nation which is more ignorant, barbaric, and poor, showing courage? But even now we forgive you. But even more, if you go now, then a reward we will give your commander 10,000 dinar, scout commanders 1,000 dinar each, and every soldier 100 dinar. Bahan, when finished, Khalid stood up and said, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed you all are wealthy, you all are rich, you are kings of government. The treatment you gave to Arabs was to spread your religion, and with your treatment, our Arabs became Christians, and today they are fighting with you against us. It is true that we are needy, poor, and destitute. Our cruelty has its own history. We made a lot gods and started worshipping them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed His mercy to us and sent His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to us among us, who was very noble, kind, and pure, who taught us oneness of God and told us that there is no associate to God. He doesn't have wife or children. He subhanahu wa ta'ala is one and alone. He also commanded us that we should present this ideology to whole world. Whosoever accepts this is a Muslim and our brother. Whosoever doesn't accept this but accept to give jizya is our ally and we are his protectors. And whosoever denies both of these things, then for him is sword. While listening about jizya, took a deep breath, looked at his people and said, these people will not give jizya. Even after death, they take jizya. Nothing decided, and Khalid came back and both armies again started preparing for war. War started, and at first Romans attacked so fiercely that Muslims were hardly holding their feet. Khalid looking this changed the traditional Arab style of war and took a new pattern of fighting. Army that was 30 or 35,000, Khalid divided them into 35 parts and stood them back and front. And in the center was Abu Ubaidah, on right side were Omer RA and Shuraibil, and on left side were Yazid bin Abu Sufyan. Apart from that, every squad had separate commander, and each commander was a well-known Arab soldier. On the other side, Romans chained their 30,000 soldiers together that no one can run. Romans started fight and were moving towards Muslim army raining arrows. Muslims for a while fought bravely, but a take of 2 lakh army forced them to back off as they reached to the tents of women. Women said from their tents that, hold on, if you come here further, then we will beat you bad, go and fight. Listening to this, Muaz ibn Jabal along him with his son, marched on Romans, which made Romans shackled. Khalid shattered the rows of Romans and their discipline was disturbed. Ikrimah, son of Abu Jahl, who fought Muslims before accepting Islam, ran his horse and said, O Christians, I once fought Prophet ﷺ when I was disbeliever. Now will I go back against you? Saying this, saw at the army and said, who will pledge on death? On this 400 people came and gave their pledge of death to him. and they all attacked bravely on Roman, didn't back off, and became martyrs one by one. In the bodies of martyrs, Khalid found Ikrimah and put his head into his lap, where Ikrimah said, "Swear to Allah, Umar's doubt was not right that we will not die as martyrs." Ikrimah and his 400 men became martyrs but killed thousands of Romans before dying. Here on right wing side, blood bath was on, and on left side Romans started attack. Unfortunately, this side has mostly people of Lakham and Ghassanis, who had been giving jizya tax to Romans for years, and Romans had emotionally upper hand on them. So they couldn't hold their feet, but their commanders fought bravely, like Qabat bin Shem, Sa'id bin Zayd, Yazid bin Abu Sufyan, Omer RA and Shuraibil bin Hasna. These mujahideen fought bravely with Holy Quran on their tongue. Looking their conditions, running soldiers came back and women also came out of their tents and were saying to Muslims that, "Be aware, don't you dare to run. If you do, then don't ever think of seeing our faces." Fight was going, both armies were fighting each other. Qais bin Hira, whom Khalid appointed at the back of the army, came into the battleground and attacked Romans that hard that their commanders couldn't stop killing and running of their soldiers. Then Sa'id bin Zayd rained arrows and Romans started running. At the back of the ground there was a big trench, and whole trench was filled with the bodies of Romans, and finally Muslims had victory with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3,000 Muslims became martyrs, and Romans that were counted were 1 lakh. Hercules has listened the defeat in Antakya and at once went to Constantinople. Abu Ubaidah gave news of victory to Caliph Umar. Battle of Yarmouk happened on 5th Rajab 15th Hijri year 636 AD. Baitul Maqdas. In the Caliphate of Abu Bakr, expedition of Sham had already begun, and he appointed different governors of different provinces. And Palestine came in the jurisdiction of Umar RA. Umar RA conquered many cities and places in the era of Abu Bakr until the time of Umar al-Khattab. Nablus, Lud, Umwas, Beit Jareen and other big cities like that were also conquered. Whenever at near places war happened, Umar RA used to leave Palestine and join Abu Ubaidah, and after war used to go back to the Palestine. And like that, after defeating other cities, directed towards Baitul Maqdas, where Christians didn't dare to fight and accepted to surrender. And for surrendering, they presented as condition that Caliph Umar should come here by himself and write the treaty by himself. Abu Ubaidah wrote Umar that victory of Baitul Maqdas is waiting for you to come. Receiving later, he called companion to counsel about that. Usman gave his opinion that Christians are under pressure. You should reject their demand and they will be humiliated further. But Mullah Ali Karamullah Wajhu said there, no, you should go there. Caliph Umar loved their suggestion, and in Rajab 16 Hijri appointed Mullah Ali Karamullah Wajhu as deputy and left Medina. Caliph Umar who had shackled the superpowers of the time, the Roman and Persian empires, was known as strict Caliph. All thought that he would come with a lot of people like kings, but no, few people were with him, and not even a single tent was with him. When he reached near the city, he stood on a mount and looked everywhere, looking the astonishing scene of Gotha and Damascus, and then recited the ayah of the Quran that how big houses and buildings they have built, and that in which they don't live, and they leave that for others. Caliph stayed at Jabiyah for days, and Treaty of Baitul Maqdas also wrote there. Christians of that place heard about Umar so they gathered a group of nobles of city and went out for Damascus. Umar was sitting with people, and people saw that few horsemen are coming with swords around their waists. All Muslims grabbed their swords. When asked, they said enemies are coming. Umar with his intellect understood that who they are, so he said to them that don't panic, they are coming to write treaty. And like that, agreement was written, and many companions signature on that. Now Umar decided to go towards Baitul Maqdas because of the journey his horse was tired. So Umar decided to walk, but other Muslims gave Umar a Turkish horse, but it was not in control. So Umar also left it and walked. Umar was wearing very simple clothes, and Muslims thought that what would Christians think when they will see our Caliph in that condition? So they at once grabbed a handsome horse and a beautiful cloth and handed it over to the Umar. Looking at that, Umar said, the respect and honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us is actually honor of Islam, and for us that is enough. Means the Caliph of Muslims who destroyed superpowers entered Baitul Maqdas, place which is holy not just for Muslims but for Christians and Jews too. in that same situation, wearing simple clothes and walking lonely. At first, Omer RA entered into mosque and stood on pulpit of Dawood and recited Ayah of Sajda of Dawood and proceeded, then saw the church. Victory of Baitul Maqdis happened in 16 Hijri year or 637 AD. So ya Akhwani, this is for today. We'll come back with the next episode of this series, inshaAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this from me and you and grant us to follow the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and grant us to have lessons from the life of companions radhiyallahu anhum ajma'een. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brethren in Gaza, Palestine and grant us to do the struggle for the establishment of Islam. Ameen. Fi amanillah.